Oh no, Seamus, are you reading the YouTube comments again? You know they're only going to ruin your day. Who cares what a random person on the internet thinks? I do. Look, they think I'm running out of intros. This person said, well, he's really run out of creative intros, hasn't he? Then they go on to say, JK, love you, Seamus. They're not even criticizing you. Why are you reading into this? But they have a point, don't they? I mean, I'm literally making an intro about running out of intros. And look at the other comments. Wait, Seamus, some of them aren't even comments. Did you write them out yourself? I think people are going to like this intro, and this whole split personality thing is kind of a reference to Kronk having an angel and a devil on his shoulder. I think people will get that and say, this is your best intro ever, or something. Well, yeah, maybe now, because you told them to. Seamus, at this point, people are probably just confused and want you to get on with talking about Kronk's new groove. Can you just... You know what? You're right. Welcome back, everyone, and I am really excited for this episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the one, the only, Kronk's new groove. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's a pretty good title. It gets my approval. 5 stars. So going in, I would have said this was the sequel with the most potential. The Emperor's New Groove already has that kind of self-aware, not taking itself too seriously or seriously at all to the point where it doesn't make sense attitude. And I thought if Kronk's New Groove follows the basic sequel formula of just kind of replicating the original around a new character, which the title implied it very much was going to do, this would have a chance of being up there. You know, the prestigious title of being one of my favorite Disney sequels, and they didn't know it, but I feel like that was basically the only reason they made them, you know, to get a good review on the Disney sequels show. And actually, on that topic, this episode of the Disney sequels show has been sponsored by Filmora Go. Now, if you don't already know, Filmora Go is the perfect video editing app for beginners. I know firsthand and find it very humbling to see how many people want to do something like this for a living. And if making videos is something you want to do, whether that's for YouTube or TikTok, but are just getting started and don't really know where to begin, getting a good editing software is one of the most important decisions you'll make. I am admittedly not a beginner in this stage of my YouTube career, but 5 years ago, I didn't know the first thing about editing, which for the record, it's to cut out the bits you don't need and leave in the bits you do. And interestingly, when I was first getting started on YouTube, I was filming and cutting down videos on my phone, and what I would have done to have an app like Filmora Go back then. Not only is it a great budget option for those just starting, but I've also found it to be an incredibly intuitive app that's extremely easy to use, which is essential for a job like this where it's all about experimenting and seeing what works and what doesn't. Oh, you see, that transition didn't really work, and now I'm gonna get really angry about this, but how do I demonstrate in an editing method that I'm getting angry? Oh look, there's this effect. Doesn't it seem like I'm even more angry than I was before? And alongside these effects, it has tons of free music to use, which I personally think good music and good effects improves a video tenfold. Think about the head start you'll be getting on bozos like me from 2015. So if this sounds of any interest to you, make sure to check out the link in the description down below and download Filmora Go to your phone. As always, any and all support helps out the channel a lot. And yeah, Kronk's new groove. I'm gonna be honest, right from the start, I was just like, oh, so they're just... Honestly, I'm lost for words, and I kind of just want to show you the entire opening to this film, but I also don't want to get copyright claims, so here's a little Seamus summary.
Yeah, that's me. Kronk.
So you're probably thinking, oh, they didn't even try to hide that they were just remaking the first film. And to be honest, I thought that was going to be a good thing. And in some ways, it was. There's genuinely a lot of funny, self-aware humor in this. I think it may have been the Disney sequel that made me laugh the most. Lion King 1.5 minutes. I didn't count how many times I laughed, okay? Can you stop putting this unnecessary pressure on me? Now, that's not to be confused with it actually being good. It wasn't, by any means, but the sad part is, I felt like it was the architect of its own downfall. I genuinely believe it could have told an entertaining story on its own, replicating a lot of the self-aware tropes and ideas that made the first film great while still doing its own thing. But it never really tries to be inventive and seems perfectly content to just live in the original shadow. Nothing demonstrates this more than how Kuzco was implemented into the film. I don't know why, but he's not in the main story. You've got the main story going on, and then a few times throughout the film, Kuzco butts in to give some commentary. And I guess you could say that's a reference to the first film of all the fourth wall breaking, talking to the audience, but the difference is that was actually relevant to the story. If you take this away, The story doesn't change. He's basically just there to go, oh, remember the first film, the one I was a star of? This is a sequel to that film. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he says exactly that, just in a different way at some point.
Oh, I love that movie, because it's all about me. But right now, it's Kronk's turn to be in the limelight.
But the thing that really frustrates me about all of this is that it would have been really easy to just include him in the main plot line. As you may have guessed, it all revolves around Kronk, who's the chef at that restaurant. You know, the one from The Emperor's New Groove. Have I mentioned that they really like to remind you that The Emperor's New Groove happened? Because I genuinely don't think you can get through 2 minutes of the film without them referencing it. And eating at the restaurant on this given day just so happens to be Patcher and his family. So like, how difficult would it have been to just include Kuzco with them? We know from the end of The Emperor's New Groove that he's close to their family, so why not just include him with them? Either way, I don't think anyone's actually disagreeing with me here. I'm just trying to make a point that Kuzco's inclusion felt lazy and furthers the narrative that they almost wanted to live in the original Shadow. And from there, it just goes all out cliche. You know that stereotypical story that we've all seen 100 times before where the main character hasn't seen their father in a long time and is nervous that he'll think they're a failure due to their lack of a big house and family? Yet this film's just that, with Kronk and his dad. We learn how he let him down as a child, shown through this tragic backstory where he baked some cakes for squirrels, you know. The worst thing a child could do. And it's safe to say their relationship's been on a rocky road since then. Yeah, that was a cake pun. I'm really sorry. And now, I do understand some parents are more demanding than others, but in the case of Kronk, and typically all the characters who find themselves in situations like this in these movies, they have a pretty comfortable life with a well-paying job and are happy. And I'm just like, why would your parent be disappointed in you? Your life's good. Just be honest with them. We all know they're going to be proud of you anyway, because that's how these films always end. And beyond this predictability, the actual main bulk of the film doesn't even take place during the present day and revolves around Kronk telling stories about how he lost everything. So, you know, one of those stories within a story. And with that, let's get into the first story. How Kronk lost his dream house. So, I'm not gonna beat around the bush with this. Yzma's back. She's not a cat anymore, except for the tail. Oh no, they don't explain that. No. Usually I'd have a problem with it, but this is Kronk's new groove. It's not supposed to make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. And if you're wondering, what's Yzma up to these days? You won't be surprised to find out she's up to exactly what she was up to in the first one. She wants to take the throne off Kuzco, but this time, democratically. Yeah, who would have guessed? And you're probably waiting for me to make some joke like, wait, when did the Emperor become an elective office? This Disney sequel sucks! But they already made that joke in the film.
I never knew that was an elective office.
Please just bear with me through this one. I can't stress how difficult it is to nitpick a film that isn't even trying to make sense. Because on the one hand, this is arguably the worst and least cohesive Disney sequel, but then they're just kind of replicating The Emperor's New Groove. And you will not catch me criticizing The Emperor's New Groove. Not now, not ever. However, with that said, I don't need to be reminded of its existence every 2 minutes. Ooh, look, a new roller coaster, new secret lab, new potions? So in this one, Yzma has discovered how to make the elixir of life and tricks Kronk into uncharacteristically teaming up with her again to help sell this to old people because, you know, they combined well in the first film, so therefore they have to do it again. And oh, also, shock horror, you'd never guess, but it isn't really the elixir of life, and the old people only think it's working due to the placebo effect. Yzma is really selling them sewer slime. She is selling old people sewer slime. Honestly, I'm lost word. Fortunately, Kuzco butts in at this moment, so just let him speak.
You got a little sewer slime, little fancy packaging, crazy laugh like a demon from the bowels of the earth. It's a scam!
Oh, wait, he was just explaining it for someone who, I know, left the room when Yzma was showing what she was doing, and she explicitly says it herself.
They put slime in a bottle, call it a youth potion, and they can't get enough.
Except, again, they've already beaten me to the punch with that comment.
Oh, you saw it already, huh? Well, Smarty, I bet you didn't see this.
And an armpit joke. Comedy! You know, it's really hard to know where the line is between actual good self-aware humor and bad writing. Like, I guess the line differs from person to person whether this film's actually funny, but my issue is the jokes get so much worse as the movie goes on. Whether that's just because you start to get tired of Kronk because he is a side character and it is very difficult to make a good film revolving around a side character. He's good in small chunks, not in full. But it also implied to me that they kind of just stopped trying as the movie went on, and I hate to say it, but it felt a bit lazy. I'm sorry, it did though. Anyway, the elixir of life is such a big hit that the old people sell everything to have more of it, including their own old people's home, which Kronk buys off them from the profits he's made from selling this elixir of life, which again, sewer slime, so he can have the big house to impress his dad without thinking where the old people were going to live. Like, he just scammed a bunch of old people out of their home. Like, I guess he didn't know it was a scam, but still, this isn't how you write a good character. And by the time he realizes it was all a scam, Yzma's gained enough popularity with the people who seem to have just forgotten what happened in the first film for them to want to vote her in as the new emperor somehow. Again, they don't mention how this transition of power would go down, but for the record, I don't think it would be very peaceful. And wait, tricking a bunch of old people to vote based on a bunch of lies, a wannabe dictator trying to grab power, the politicians not caring about the democratic vote. This film was ahead of its time! Either way, before Yzma tricks her supporters into storming the Capitol or something, Kronk shows up and tells them that the potion hasn't been making them any younger, and they all collectively have this, oh yeah, I didn't notice that moment, turning on Yzma, and just as they're about to, I don't know what they were going to do to her, to be honest, she uses her most dangerous potion ever, which turns her into a bunny. And that wasn't it going wrong, that's it working, because they all realize they can't hurt a little bunny. Except you totally can, because it's still Yzma. But she ends up getting swooped up by a bird before anyone can do anything anyway. So, Disney sequel fake out? I mean, kind of. Like, she doesn't come back until the very last scene where it's teased she actually might get eaten. So, real Disney sequel? Ooh, don't do that again, please. Oh yeah, and Kronk ends up giving the house back to the old people, so that's how he lost his house. We're back to where we started, and I didn't learn a thing. Let's move on to story 2, how he lost his dream girl. Now, for the record, we aren't even halfway through the film yet. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but the pacing was such a mess. It was so fast-paced that I feel tired just thinking about it. Like, I'm pretty sure I slept for 12 hours after watching it. It was that tiring. And I don't know, it seemed like they had 2 ideas but couldn't decide which one to do, so squashed them together and did both. And it seems to be a bit of a theme in Disney sequels to kind of combine ideas into one. Usually it's because they had like some TV show that got scrapped, so combined a few of the episodes and made a movie out of it. But in this case, it's just weird. Initially, as in like 7 minutes ago in this video, I'd have praised them for making a bit of a love story. I think it would have been an inventive angle to go in with a sequel and help it stand out compared to the original where there aren't any romantic storylines. But of course, they made it weird. This love story goes down with the classic main character meets rival. He's the opposite to him in every way. In this case, he meets the leader of the rival squirrel scout. Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. They build this fiery disdain towards each other as they compete for the title of best squirrel scout troop? I don't know. Constantly one-upping each other until the final event where they're all tied up. Not literally, I mean, it's not quite that in your face. Until they realize they were actually in love the entire time, and then it might as well be that in your face. I mean, they start baking together. You can kind of get the gist of what went down, right? Like, I don't want to talk about it, but then again, I had to sit through it, so you're gonna have to sit through it too. Here's another shameless summary, sexual tension edition.
My eggs, your raisins.
Oh, get out your oven mitts. Things are about to get hot.
And once that's done, Kuzco subs in for another 25 seconds where he doesn't even say, he just cries for 25 seconds. Either way, after falling in love, they decide to end the feud and keep the focus on fun for the final event. What could go wrong, you know, other than the fact they've been preparing their scout troops as if the final event was a literal war before this moment, and therefore making the decision on the day to tell them, oh, just have fun out there, probably isn't going to change anything. And that's where Patch's son Tipo comes into play. And I'll admit, I think this was storytelling. As the devil on his shoulder, yeah, Kronk has one of them, convinces him that sabotaging the other team is the way forward, and that's exactly what he does. Helping Kronk's troop win and complete a three-peat, by the way. I didn't mention this, but they'd won for the last 2 years in a row, so this is some achievement, you know? How many Squirrel Scout troops do you know that have won Best Squirrel Scout Troop Award 3 years in a... Yeah, this really is as bad as it sounds. I don't know how they didn't get disqualified for cheating, now I think about it. But you know what? I don't really care at this point. Kronk nobly takes responsibility for Tipo's actions, and his girlfriend, who I genuinely can't even remember the name of, feels betrayed and leaves him forever. And then we finally return to the main story as Kronk's dad shows up at the restaurant. Now, fittingly, a lot happens in this last 10 minutes of the movie, so just kind of because I'm going to take you through it as quickly as possible so you can get an idea of what it was like to watch it, and also because I don't want to have to talk about this movie any more than necessary. So Kronk, as the rational characters always love to do in these films, is so afraid to disappoint his dad that he asks to borrow Patch's family and pretend that it's his family. And they all kind of agree to play along, but unfortunately they're not on the same page. I don't know how they got so off on different pages in such a short period of time, but they did. Meaning just as Kronk's dad's about to be convinced by the fact Kronk actually has Patch's life, Patcher comes running in dressed as a woman, also claiming to be his wife. And in the meantime, Teepo's on a completely separate mission to try and reverse something, but they never tell us what he's trying to reverse. So who wants to play a game of guess what happens in this predictable Disney sequel? What do you guys think Teepo is going to try and do on this separate mission to reverse something that may have happened earlier on in the film? If you said he went out to find Kronk's girlfriend, you'd be kind of right, but not entirely, so do better next time. As he also alerts the old people from the first story to the issue, leading to them dressing up and pretending to be his wife and kids, and even Kuzco weasels his way in there for 5 seconds. Again, furthering my point that he could have just been there for the entire film. Then the fondue explodes. So again, because he didn't want his dad to know he was a chef, he was doing that thing where he was pretending not to cook while also doing the cooking, and in all the confusement, he forgot about the fondue and it exploded everywhere. Finally bringing us back to the start of the film, you know, with 5 minutes to go. And to be honest, because the film was so fast-paced, I had completely forgotten about it, and this was like, oh yeah! Then, as you may have guessed, Kronk comes clean telling his dad the truth, and very unexpected and actually catching me off guard, his dad basically says, wow, yeah, you are a failure, aren't you? Leading to Kronk saying, well, I don't need your approval, only for that to cause his dad to say he's proud of him. You know what, I take it back about that catching me off guard. All it did was delay it by like 58 seconds.
I'm proud of you, son.
Oh, and yeah, if you forgot, Teepo manages to convince the girlfriend to come back and forgive Kronk, and they all live happily ever after. Jesus Christ, if there's one thing more tiring than watching this film, it's making a video about this film. I do not recommend. But with that said, I'm going to give it a 4.4 out of 10. It's not the worst Disney sequel. I didn't even mention this in the video because there was just so much to say, but there were actually some decent musical numbers in there, you know, at least for a Disney sequel, and the jokes at the start weren't bad, so yeah, 4.4 feels fair. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking here. You can watch another video by clicking here. You can check out my Patreon here and in the description down below. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I always say that too late in videos, don't I? No one's going to do it now because like people have clicked off at this point.